Commander, weren't we on our way to buy food? You confirmed that was right. This is a restaurant. You can purchase food here, but it won't stay good for very long. You were hungry. You asked her if she was hungry too. Uh, yes. I'm hungry as well. Staples could be bought later. For now, you invited RAPI to eat together. Okay. 40 minutes later. You mentioned how nice the restaurant was. Yes, the chef seems quite talented. Asking politely, you wonder how RAPI found the meal. It was lovely. Smiling, you hope that next time you invite her, you could order her favorite food. Uh, I don't really have a favorite food. I eat pretty much anything. You fell silent. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make things awkward. I just wanted to illustrate how strong my mental fortitude is in that regard. You were confused what she meant by that. Yes, theoretically, Nikke's do not need to consume food. We are powered by the core within our bodies. The core is capable of generating its own power, and as long as there is no major damage, it can be used without any active input on our part. We do not need to consume food for energy. You wonder why she indulged you in having a meal. As I mentioned earlier, it all has to do with the mind. With the exception of the brain, Nikkes are composed entirely of artificial materials. We are not human, but in terms of our appearance, we are a perfect copy of a human being, down to our internal structure. Because of that, most Nikkes use their bodies just as humans do. There are pros and cons to this. It allows us to blend in and interact with the rest of society. However, some may experience a mental breakdown when they become aware that they are not human. We look identical to humans and act just like them. So, when we are told we are in fact not human, it can cause a kind of panic to arise within us. You ask her whether this panic can happen when meeting a Nikkei-phobe like the earlier interaction. No. Cursing or physical violence only results in slight emotional agitation. Unpleasant thoughts, feelings of anger, things of that nature. It only becomes serious upon negation of our primary mechanisms. Food is a prime example. The moment you realize that you don't have to eat anymore, you instantly become acutely aware that you are different from humans. This results in a sort of cognitive dissonance. Your mental state is negatively impacted. The degree of this impact differs from Nikkei to Nikkei. There are some who need to eat 3 meals a day in order to feel a sense of stability. Then, there are others like me, who are able to get by eating once every few days. It's the same with sleep and hygiene. We don't feel tired if we don't sleep, and we do not smell even if we do not wash. However, if we don't sleep and wash, then we become aware. Aware that we are different from humans. This extends to more than just our daily habits. In the early days, the liquid catalysts in our bodies were green. However, whenever we were injured, the sight of green blood spilling from our wounds would result in cognitive dissonance. In later models, they switched to red. Eyeballs with ultra-precise cameras implanted, missiles embedded in the abdomen, and booster-mounted legs. Yes, they were superior in terms of performance, but they were all discarded due to the users being unable to process them mentally. This is the reason why most Nikkes use handheld firearms along with other assistive equipment. Concerned, you ask what happens if the cognitive dissonance grows too much. A mind switch. You had never heard the term. Yes. Simply put, the personality changes. I don't know the details. Once the brain determines it can no longer cope with the cognitive dissonance, it undergoes a radical change. On rare occasions, the new personality that emerges is perfectly fine. Most of the time, however, they go insane. It felt unsettling. To consider that this could happen to Nikkes was... Nikkes that experience a mind switch are referred to as irregulars, as most irregulars have destructive tendencies and are usually terminated. There had to be a way to fix it. I don't know if fix is the proper term to describe it, but the process can be reverted through a reboot. It was confusing to hear that term referred to something outside of computers. It's exactly what it sounds like. You wipe the Nikke's memory clean. You revert the mind to the way it was the day before, or even as far back as when they were first manufactured. However, the success rate is low. When one becomes an irregular, their brain is physically broken. I've heard there's a brainwashing technique that makes the brain a total blank slate, but I've never heard of any cases where it was actually used. Because of all this, the central government places a high importance on maintaining Nikke's mental health. A Nikke can become a massive liability if they become an irregular. Determined, you declare that you wouldn't let that happen to the counters. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I've gone on for far too long. Should we get going? Commander, I think you may have gone overboard with the shopping. You struggle to carry the weight of all the groceries you had just bought. Next time, I recommend that you only purchase what you need. You assure her that all the groceries bought were going to be needed. Inviting her to eat together to your heart's content, you ask her to enjoy a food coma together afterwards. Okay, I'll carry these. Let's go. Insisting that you wanted to carry them together, you noticed the soft smile on RAPI's face. Okay, let's carry it together.